Just trying to get pandemic response sense, like what we did, what we're doing, what we do short term in this horrible winter, and then how it all ends or comes back to whatever we call normal in the future. So when did you shut down? What was your first indication that it was all going to come to an end?
We had a show on somewhere around March 6th that was about 75% sold, and only about 50% of the audience showed up, right? So immediately we knew something was wrong. We knew something was wrong and we knew what it was, right? So we had the show, but we realized the audiences a good number of audience stayed away. We canceled shows one at a time. So we didn't just do a shut it all down. We did the next show, and then we waited, and then we did the next show. And
that's nerve-wracking.
Yeah. I have a lot of, if I knew then what what would I have done differently?
Sure.
But I don't know about you, but I had this real objective. I wanted to keep my staff employed and not furloughed, and I wanted to try to make meaningful work. And it suddenly felt like that meant we had to use the summer. But that's terrifying, right? It's like a whole model where and I've run summer festivals and outdoor festivals and sworn I'd never do it again, so that was all happening.
Yeah.
As you know.
Right. So how'd you respond? What was the response like? And it's different for me because I don't work at a university anymore, and the Flynn's a freestand, and you've obviously got to follow university policy. So how much of what you did was what you want to do versus what the university was sort of mandating in terms of policy? I imagine you have to follow what the university does pretty closely.
We made the decision that we would really like to do some things from the hall, but that meant bringing artists and bringing technicians. And all of a sudden there was an email, no visitors. There will be no visitors to Campbell. Even if you're a student registered as an at-home student, you can't come use the library. As somebody with a remote student, I'm well aware of the library use policy. Yeah. So, and then there was also the sort of added thing of Vermonters, that we could really only bring Vermonters into the hall once we got the permission to bring these people. So, programming was hard because I had to say to everyone, you can't leave the state, and I don't really I'm waiting for the permission to even bring you at all, but will you do it? And then of course we can't offer the fees that we would normally offer because there are many artists that I know I can sell the 300 seats at $40 a seat, but all of a sudden I'm thinking it's $20 is what we wanted to do the streaming for. And how many people are going to really take this leap with us? So, offering a less fee. I mean, artists have been super flexible and grateful for the work, as you know.
I did Wynton Marsalis and Lincoln Center Jazz at the Shelburne Museum, and that's a fee that I'll never see again. If you want to work in this environment in these times, and that's what you want to do is get up and play for people, you got to be super flexible. Like everybody's taking a giant risk putting on any show of any kind. There is no business as usual right now. So.
Yeah, and I'm the artist. I'm looking at booking in the spring for live streaming, which I don't have permission yet.
Next spring or this coming spring?
This coming spring.
Oh, okay, wow.
21. So we're going to try to do another 5 shows.
From the theater?
From the theater.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Well, right. I mean, that's what we did in the fall, and they were successful. On Friday night, we had over 200 people streaming. 200
people? Is that the average audience you get about 200 people?
They've been growing. Each one has grown. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So it feels worth doing,
Absolutely.
And, the Friday night one was the author Stephen Kiernan, and it featured our organ. It had 2 organists. Actually, it had 3 organists coming. And then at 2:00 in the afternoon, one of the organists called me and said, I have cold symptoms. I'm feeling okay. Play. Should I come? I'm like, no.
Oh, hell no.
Not come. So it was 2 organists.
Yeah, 2 organists.
Shout out to Jenny Bauer, who pulled an incredibly difficult Bach piece out of her hat and played it. Good. Sitting in the hall while the streaming is happening, because there's 3 of us in the hall of staff. I mean, I cried. I cried at the Moira Smiley show, which was the first weeping. It's like,
just because why?
Because it was like, it was so moving to me to finally be doing what, feels like my personal mission or institution's mission, and to hear live music in the hall. It was just tremendously moving. I'm sure it was like that. I mean, it was like that at Hurly Burly. It was just meaningful.
It really was.
Yeah, you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Yeah, exactly. I think we did know. I think that's why we got to do something.
Yeah. Well, that's true too.
When that's going, we knew what we had. You got to make that happen over and over again.
And what people, I just want to say one more thing, which is, a connection that people need to, like, maybe don't think of immediately is like, everything is intertwined. Your ability to fundraise is connected to fulfilling your mission, which is connected to connecting artists and audiences, and your education mission. Like, everything is affected, right? So either you completely close down, or you try to find a way to fulfill pieces of your mission.
Yeah. Is it streaming something that you see now being a long-term solution to some things? Because what I've realized popping up, it's going to be a long-winded question too. What I've realized popping up is that it actually does answer some questions about accessibility. It actually really does help people that are unable to come to the hall when it's open, business as usual. It still allows them an access, a window to the arts that's really kind of powerful. And the technology is caught up where I think it's pretty easy for everyone to figure out. The levels of quality within that are wide ranging, of course, but almost anybody can stream something, essentially. So I'm just wondering if it's going to be part of what you do permanently, and what the real differences are, other than the obvious ones. There's nobody in the chairs in presenting the two forms.
We've gotten a lot of feedback from the streaming concerts we've done, and a lot of people have said, like, well, I live in Stowe, and if there's snow, this was so accessible. I would love to have this option always. Can you keep streaming even when you're back in the hall? So, I mean, I think we will. I think one thing is to do it well, high quality, is expensive.
Yeah.
And, we're doing we have 3 cameras.
Got to have that at a minimum, right? If you're going to do a quality presentation.
Yeah. And they're expensive pieces of equipment. And then there's the people who are running them, the crew.
Right. Is that something you have on campus? Do you have a crew on campus? You hire them out from
no. I mean, I think that there are people who do that kind of work technically on campus, but they're maxed out with teaching and learning.
Of course.
That's the priority, yeah. So we hired out. That was like a whole other get permission for that reality. But we did hire a company that's been specializing in this more and more, and the quality shows. I think it looks and sounds good.
It will.
And in terms of the big difference for us, the live stream from the hall itself brings us one step closer to an in-person experience. And it's interesting because I have an actual example of this. The first show we did was Moira Smiley live on our stage, and her partner Seamus Egan from the band Solos, and they in Vermont. But Seamus had been out of town recording an album in West Springfield, Massachusetts, and he ended up getting locked down there. And so he couldn't come do the live stream. We only knew a few days before, but he said, I'm in this beautiful studio, I'll just record it. I have access to everything. It'll be beautiful recording. It's acoustically great. And then you can run it after Moira's half of the show. So that's what we did. Nice. And I'll tell you the difference between Moira live on the stage, just talking spontaneously and connecting with the cameras and making, and tripping her words and deciding to do a different song because of the way she was feeling, and connecting with the other live musician who was 6 feet away on stage. Tyler Bowles, the bass player, was there. And Seamus's kind of perfect studio piece.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Oh, it's still live performance versus a camera.
Yeah. So we would like to try to do it that way, continue. So, obviously there's a huge difference. No one left your jokes, for one thing. I had such a good joke for my pre-show announcement on the first show, and I realized I can't tell this joke.
Let's hear it.
Tell the joke and have no, I'm not. It was,
come on, we want to hear the joke.
It was like a joke I was making about how, like, necessity being the mother of invention. This has turned us into Teslas. Like it was a joke like that.
A Tesla joke. Okay. I like it.
Yeah. I kind of pulled it off in a house, right? So, and I realized this is pointless. Like no one will laugh. Horrible. Like, if you listen to shows like Wait, Don't Tell Me, and they have like no audience, it's just so weird, right?
Oh, yeah. I don't know how comedians especially can work without the applause. That's how you know how you're doing. That guides the show for a lot of performers. I mean, jazz is the same way. Jazz, you can play vacuum, but it's so much better when you have an audience, egging you on in certain directions in certain ways when it's an improvisational form.
Yeah,
really
exactly.
The audience to know where to go next.
We did have an audience for one of our shows because UVM let us, for one show, invite some students.
Nice.
Because we set up, they are in the classroom, right? So it was really no different than a classroom. So they were masked. They were really distanced. And there were only 24 of them. But it actually made a difference. They applauded and they snapped and they laughed.
Right.
And it felt like, it was a lot better, and I would love to keep doing that. But I have a feeling UVM probably now will limit that.
That would make sense to me.
Yeah. But for us, the far more significant, new venue is our recital hall, because now we have theatrical lighting. Never had.
No.
Much better sound. Never had. An electrical acoustic state-of-the-art draping system that literally transforms the hall acoustically. It's now can be a warm space. I mean, it was always like a kind of jangly live space. Mm-hmm. It can feel like a little warm jazz room.
It's amazing what the drapes will do. I worked at a place in Atlanta called Spivey Hall.
Spivey, yeah.
Box. Yeah, and the drapes fully open versus the drapes closed were two different venues. It was two different rooms entirely.
Yeah, we were hoping it would work that way, and it does. We have projection. We have a screen that comes down like in front of the organ, and we used that for the last show. So that, and we have a whole backstage area, and studio space and rehearsal space, which is huge. But so for us, the introducing people to the hall was going to be a big thing. So
it'll still be there. It'll be there.
Yeah, it will.
It'll be there.
It will.
We're taking the opportunity. You got to find opportunities in these catastrophes to do a lot of work on our 90-year-old building, and hopefully people will see and feel that when they come in. It's getting cleaned like you wouldn't believe. The air filtration is off the chart. They're actually replacing the stage on the main stage next week.
Oh, really?
It'll take a few weeks or whatever, however long it takes. So ideally, I think when people come back, they'll see a slightly different. I mean, we obviously can't change the footprint, but it'll definitely look better. And nobody's used it for so long. It'll be as clean as it's ever been in its entire existence. Me too. Yeah, well, I certainly appreciate all the help that you and your staff gave us on the hurly-burly. That was fantastic.
It was fun. It was super fun. Should do it again this summer. You should.
Yeah, we should. I think we should do some variation of it. It was really great. I mean, I think everybody had a really positive experience with it. So I think it'd be hard not to do it again almost.
Yeah. I mean, you invented it, so.
Well, I think other people have done it before.
Well, I just mean the protocols are in place.
Yeah, we got it in place. And hopefully by summer, the protocols will be loosened and we can even we can announce a season and just do free shows and the park can be crowded.
Yeah,
exactly. Maybe that could happen.
It'd be awesome.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
All right.
Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you. Bye.
Bye.